Hello, welcome to another Unity development video. I've been working on adding abilities to my snake character. I've been using that kind of term since I started this series. It's not exactly accurate. I use it as kind of just a way to explain the following function that's currently in place where the segments follow the leader. What I've had in mind for it, kind of the theme is more akin to a platformer slash Pikmin type game where these characters will follow the leader. You may have noticed in a different video I had stand-in bug type characters for each of the segments. I have taken that out. I'm going to implement more detailed ones in the future, but I feel like for just development and debugging purposes, it makes more sense to just have these very simple geometric shapes. What I'm planning on it for with these abilities is if you have a certain bug in your group, in your party, if that character has a certain ability based on its species, like a mosquito might go quicker and be able to suck up certain like liquids or something that will be used somewhere else in the level, or a beetle may be more immune to damage, something like that. A flea can use a jump ability that I had in an earlier version. Some kind of bug would use that climbing ability that I have in there. Just, it's not fully thought out yet. It's not fleshed out at all. It's just kind of a little idea I have, but I am definitely going in that direction. And I was going to show you, I am going to show you this system I have in place for the game to determine if that specific bug type is in your party and if those abilities are currently available to you. So if you look on the player, that thing that I've selected right here, the player character, the component at the bottom, I have a switch bug type script, and this debug CBT little enum here is a kind of just group of enums and the derived kind of variables from them, different bug types. So I have this default, which is just like a general stand-in for what the main character might be. Mosquito, spider, beetle, butterfly, firefly, bee, and flea. And each of those would have their own kind of ability. But this one that's being selected right here is the current selected ability, or current selected character from what's in your party. So if I press play, and right here, I don't have it implemented yet, but if I were to switch to this red segment here is the mosquito, and you can see on this character segment script that's attached to it, this component. If I switch to it, I believe it's, I just select the player again, but if I switch to it, if I press 2, no, it's 7. If I press 7, it'll switch to it because it has, it's available in our party. I can switch that mosquito's abilities. But if I select that mosquito and I delete it, it doesn't interrupt the flow of the character and the followers, but if I go to the player, it is automatically switched to default, and if I try and press 7 again, I can't select that mosquito until I spawn another one. If I press it, I can switch to it again because I have it in my party because I spawned it. So, the way that I'm handling how it is detecting if that character is currently available in your party is I'm running a for loop through the amount of segments that are in there. So if I go to our code here and I go to the segment manager, actually let's go to the character segments first. Here are the enums that I was pointing at earlier. There's the current bug type, and I have a debug current bug type because it's a static variable. Right here, this array right here, this bug type array, if we go to the segment manager, it is being created and populated with the it's grabbing the components from each of those segments in the array. It's going through the amount of segments, and it's grabbing the current bug type variable and setting that kind of enum on each of the array spaces on the bug types array. So it's just going through them, and it's cross-referencing each of the segments that are in the array, finding out which enum of those bug types, which bug type it is associated with it, and it is populating that other array based on those values. So if I were in the game here and I press play, and you can see this moving around here, this is the original array from that segment manager. It's the player, default, mosquito, and beetle. But the original array is just segment body 0, segment body 1, segment body 2, and it's grabbing this component and it's making the array default, mosquito, beetle. And it's going to use that array. We're going to cycle through it, and we're cycling through with the segment count again so that we're not grabbing more information than we need to, kind of saving frames there. There's this run bug type check, kind of like a function I have here, but I'm just have it set to a bool right now. It's running and it's going through the segment values right there. It's going through each of those, and if the bug type associated with that segment, let's go down to B, it's easier to explain. If the bug type value of that segment is there, if it finds it at all, it's going to add to this integer that's here. And if that integer, after it runs through this check, is greater than 0, then that character's ability to switch to it becomes true. So this SR bool right here is switch ready. So this B character, we can switch to that because the integer that was created to determine if that is possible is greater than 0. And it's adding that by detecting the segments in there. So even if there's like 10 B's in this segment, it's just going to add one for each of them. And the fact that it's greater than 0 means that they exist in that array, and we're able to switch to them. Else, it is set to false, and it switches it back to default automatically. And then that integer is initialized back to 0, and it starts running the check. And it does that for each of these bug types to see if we can do it. So let's see. Yeah, it's just going through and then seeing if that ability is available. I haven't added any of the abilities really into the game yet, but it's just an important step to make sure that these characters, we can actually grab them from the environment and attain these abilities by adding them to our party. So if I go in, I start, and I spawn a few characters. Let's just spawn a spider, that's a black sphere right there. If I go to player and I scroll down, the current bug type, if I press the one that would allow me to use the powers for the spider, which is the alphanumeric 8 key, I can switch the spider down there. And if I go into the game, and let's say an enemy attacked that part of my body segments and the spider was ejected from the array, like this, if I go back and I go to the player, I am no longer able to switch to that spider, and it has reset me back to default. So if I go back in the game and I press the alphanumeric 8, I cannot select the spider anymore until it is added back to the array. So if I spawn it, it's in the array again, I can press 8, and now I can be the spider again. And that ability will probably be something along the lines of moving on walls or building webs. So if I just exit this, I think that's all I wanted to explain for now. For future videos in the near future, I was thinking of doing something more of without my webcam, just kind of looking into getting the audio quality better and maybe doing some kind of quick cuts, more precise, maybe some more formal videos, and I can actually make some graphics in Photoshop explaining some of the concepts. But for now, I'm gonna do a few of these webcam videos, but that's what I'm planning for the future. Thanks for watching.